Azura, when you were younger, you felt like you needed to be more demure.
Yes.
So at which point were you like, ha ha ha, joke's on you? Like,
It's not happening.
yeah, at which point were you like,
Help me!
is it my jeans?
Hi, Tazo!
Hey, Tizera.
And I'm Jermaine.
And welcome back to another episode of Cleverities Podcast. Well, today we have a special guest with us on set. She is a lady who wears many hats, okay? She likes to produce, she does music, she does inline skating. Let's give it up for Qis!
Hi, I'm Qis Maraj and I'm a music producer and I'm also an inline skating coach and I'm also a part-time DJ at RIA 897.
Well, today we're going to be talking about society's expectations of being a woman. And we don't just mean this in the workforce, we mean this in life, in general, you know, amongst friends, amongst family, colleagues, you name it.
Yeah, I feel like when you're a woman, right? And sometimes when you're emotional, they say, you're too emotional, like, you're too sensitive.
Hey, we cannot help it, you know. Sometimes right before our periods, our hormones are like
It's true.
raging. It's true. We can't control it.
Yeah, and think that's what it means to be a woman, right? But we are judged on it. We are held to a higher standard for some reason in society. Has anyone ever told you girls like, you're too blah, blah, blah?
Like you're
as a
too
woman?
much,
You're
or
too
you're too
sensitive. You're too manly to be a woman. You're too, whatever it is.
For me, I feel that I've been told that I'm like too rough.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, I'm not rough. It's just like music-wise, people have told me like you need to tone down when it comes to your writing or your rapping.
Oh.
But that's
Yeah.
by their standards.
Yeah, that's why.
It's not yours.
Exactly.
In what sense do they think it's rough?
Because when I rap, I just like to say whatever I want to say, that kind of
Okay.
thing. So they want me to like tone down and be like a little bit like good, have that good image. I'm more, I would say like rugged like that lah. Yeah, so macam whatever I would just do, you know. They're like, oh, you need to be more girly. Yeah, and it comes from a girl also actually.
So how do you take to that?
For me, the good thing is that I like to ignore. So I can just ignore. Yeah. So I like to do more of it lah. You say I cannot do, I will do it.
What
You
good
know?
eh?
Yeah.
I love that.
Cannot do, I do some more. So it just makes them pissed off lah, which is good, right?
Well, from the past minute, I can tell that Qis is someone who is very assertive, who is very confident in herself.
DGAF. That's what it is.
DGAF.
Yeah, man.
But do you never feel like, that you had to tone it down a little bit because they were saying that, or you're not behaving like a girl, that sort of thing?
Surprisingly, I never felt like that.
Good.
Yeah, I felt like I need to do more of it instead.
Wow, rebel.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Because a lot of my friends, they will succumb to all these opinions, right? Yeah, for me, it's like no difference. Even if you do it, if let's say you tone down and then they will say, you were better previously. So it's like a lot of comments.
From different people, especially. I feel what you say. That sometimes I think it's very hard for you to ignore the comments coming from the people around you, especially if they come from your bosses, the higher ups, or like social media comments in general. They really get to you.
Yeah.
What about you girls? Have anyone ever said that you were too much of anything?
Too sensitive. I get that every day.
From who? Yeah.
No, I mean, I am too sensitive. I will admit that. Okay, I am guilty.
Are you really?
I mean, I'm quite sensitive. I'm quite emotional. I cry a lot.
Same.
I cry too much. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we always have this conversation. When was the last time you cried, Qis?
Oh.
Yesterday.
Oh my god.
10 years ago.
Actually, it looks like her answer is like 2 years ago or something.
No lah, I'm actually quite sentimental. So if I look back at old photos or videos, I'll cry one.
Wow. Well, I think it's only human.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, people tell me that I work too much. But to be honest, I don't think it's a very like gender specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like males can work too much as well. On the contrary, people are surprised when I tell them, I have hopes of getting married and having kids.
Why
by,
are they
like, in, like,
surprised?
2 years time or like whatever.
Why?
And then they will be like, huh? Then your career how? Like, in this line, you must really chiong first before you can like start a family. But to me, my idea is my family will be the one taking me through the rest of my life, not my work. One day, the career has to stop, and what do I have left? Is the family I built for myself. So this is a very interesting perspective where people like expect a woman to work even more, especially when we're in this line of work.
Right.
I do think that, that whole like you work too much, when it's applied to a male, it's like, wow,
It's
you work so
glorified.
hard, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, climb the corporate ladder kind of thing, be a CEO. But when it's a female, it's like, you work too much. Like, are you going to have time to raise kids? Are you going to have time for family? Like, it always comes with kind of like, it's like a double backhanded compliment.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the expectations people have of women?
I would say rather similar to hers, where
To who? Kiss?
Yes, where I think I've heard a lot of like, oh, I'm like too much. Or like, I'm too loud. But you also tell me that loud, so it's okay.
But it's true lah.
Okay, actually, right, it doesn't bother me. But I think I've always heard it since I was young. Like, oh, you talk too much. Or like, oh, you're too loud. Or like, oh, you're just very tolol lah. Basically, they tell me that all the time, right? And then I think for a while, unlike her, she's a bit more rebel. Unlike her, I was a bit more like, oh, I felt like I was too much, you know? Like, I think it makes you feel like you need to make yourself smaller. Yeah.
Like as a woman, I think sometimes you are afraid to take up space in a lot of things, in the workplace, in public, in like something very simple, right? This whole concept of man spreading. Why is it okay for a man to open their legs, but not for a woman? No, I genuinely
Fair point, actually.
why
Fair
I
point.
cannot do this? Why I cannot open my legs? Okay, it's quite. I will close down. But in public when you take like the MRT and stuff like that, guys will just open their legs into your seat. But if a girl did that, I can bet you an auntie or an uncle will come and say, "Girl, can you please close your legs?"
Yeah.
Funny how you said this because just the other day I was talking to someone from the industry. He's a guy. And upon sitting down, he started to shake his leg like for the entire conversation.
That's my pet peeve. I cannot take it.
Is it?
Yeah.
First he shake his leg, after he shake his foot, like just
Okay.
like tremble like that. I was looking at him, it was interesting because if he had seen that on a girl, immediately someone would have told you to, hey, stop shaking your leg. Yeah, but why? Why does that only apply to men and
Right.
not women?
Sometimes when I eat, so apparently this is genetic. I got it from my grandma. I will show you guys on the couch. So when I eat, I have to put one leg up, the other leg is down, and then I have to eat like that over the table at home, right? And I realized that I started doing that with my boyfriend as well, and it's quite unladylike, but apparently it's genetic. It is from my grandmother. She does the same thing when she eats, but it's very
Habitual, not genetic.
it's genetic.
She happens to know to me. I did it when I was 6. My father walked over with a hanger and like whacked me on my thigh. That was the last time I ever did that. Because it's so painful.
I used to sit like that and eat, and then they would tell me, "You at coffee shop?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I can't. It's in my blood. I can't.
The food just tastes better when you sit like that, right? Sometimes in the radio conti, I want to sit cross-legged. I want to remove my sneakers
Yeah, I do it.
and
do
sit
that.
cross-legged. But like my co-host Qijia is right beside me. So I'm like, is that
And
nice
she's
of
very
me?
gentle.
She's very gentle,
Yeah.
yeah.
This whole idea of being like a female or being feminine is associated with being demure and ladylike.
Yeah.
But really, how many women do you know are actually like that?
Qijia lor. One.
I'd say like 1 out of 50 maybe, you know?
And we have so much expectations for women when it comes to things like appearances as well.
Yep.
Like if we spend too much money on like lasers, facials,
They say that you're hiao. What is hiao? Vain.
Hiao is
They say that
vain.
you're very vain.
too much.
Then if you don't take care of yourself, they say, what kind
Yeah,
of a
they'll
girl
be
are
like, you
you?
need
Like,
to spend
can you
more
clean
money.
out a little bit, you know?
exactly.
So my sister, she washes her face with tap water every night and that's it. She doesn't put toner, moisturizer, nothing like that. She goes straight to bed.
Oh, lucky Singapore step water is quite
Yeah, I know,
Shout out.
right? I know, right? But I'm like the total opposite. But one is like too little, one is too much. So how do we hit the sweet spot? And who even defines this sweet spot, right?
No, actually, yeah. One must have sweet spot. Like, do you not determine like where to stop, you know, or what you're comfortable with? Because I feel like, I think everybody goes through the phase where you're trying to please someone or you're trying to please people or you're just tired of comments in general. And someone says you're too much of this, you try and like lessen it.
Yep.
Someone says you're too little of this, you try and like work on that, you know? But I think it comes a point where everyone gets a little bit tired and you realize like wherever you are and whatever you do, someone's going to have a comment about something.
Correct.
You're always too much or too little.
So why even care in the first place, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
And another thing like work-life balance. Qis, how's your work-life balance like?
So far, it's quite balanced.
Really? How much time do you get away from work?
Actually-
And I mean like away from all your music production, your
Right.
acting, your inline skating.
Yeah, for me, because I actually just graduated like 2 years ago, maybe around there. So I told myself that I don't want to jump to full time first.
Okay.
So whatever that I'm doing now is like part time, and I can choose my schedule. Yeah. So for my skating, I actually started my own, so I can work on my schedule with my clients. I work around my travel dates. Actually, I'm flying off later.
Oh, wow.
Like right after this, I'm going to the airport.
Where are you heading to?
I'm heading to Indonesia, and then I'm heading to Spain in 3 more days. So like this year, I told myself I just want to travel anywhere I can.
Yeah.
Then society would say, where you get so much money to buy your air
Exactly.
tickets?
Come on, someone literally told me, "Hey, you got sugar daddy, ah?" I told her like, yeah, I wish I have like 3.
That's a problem of its own. Why can't the money be from me?
Yeah,
Why can't it be my money?
exactly.
I'm my own sugar daddy. Why must Why must that be the first thing that they think of?
Why must a man be paying for me? Like, back then when I was even with my ex and I have a bag and they're like, "Oh, your boyfriend buy it." I'm like, "No, girl, I buy it myself."
Oh yeah,
like,
like
what does it have got to do?
Yeah, why always is it to be like, my partner bought this bag for me?
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have done that. I saw like a friend wearing like a new Van Cleef bracelet.
Okay.
And like I know that she's obviously dating a guy who is quite well to do. And I was like, oh, did so and so buy that for you? That was my first instinct.
Oops.
Then I was like, shit, actually she could have bought that for herself. Right? Like she's working, she makes a very decent income. And then she told me, yeah, actually I bought it myself. I was like, oh, shut up. So even girls are guilty of it, I have to say, right? It's just we've been conditioned to always think of things like that. Yeah.
Correct. I saw this like video of this thing that basically said like, oh, they told me to grow up and find a rich husband. I will be that rich husband. Thank you.
I do think that sometimes, the concept of femininity is weaponized against women. And that puts a lot of pressure on us to be someone that we don't want to be. Like, for example, Azura, when you were younger, you felt like you needed to be more demure.
Yes.
So at which point were you like, ha ha ha, jokes on you? Like,
Fuck you, it's not happening.
yeah, at which point were you like,
Help me!
is it my jeans?
See my jeans? This is real.
No, but
that was fake.
What was the turning point?
I think age, honestly. I think eventually you just learn you can't please anybody and I will be me. Like, honestly, like, leave me alone. Maybe it took me a while as well. Maybe later teens, earlier 20s. And then you just run off from there, right? Because you just start realizing that at whatever given point, someone's going to say something about something. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm the exact opposite. I used to be even more of an extrovert. I used to be really loud and, uncontrolled, I would say. But as I stepped into society, I learned to pull my reins a bit backwards. And I think this is because I also work in the Chinese music industry, right? So a lot of the clothes I wear, sometimes I will face some comments from my listeners or like my followers, and that really will get me thinking. Funny story, I bought this shirt recently. It's a white t-shirt and it has 2 hands. The 2 hands are positioned
Here.
right here.
Okay.
Over the boobies.
Over the boobies, that's
Yeah.
right. So one of my guy friends actually saw that and he was like, are you sure you want to wear this out? I mean, no offense, nothing against like fashion and whatever, but what's the message you're trying to portray? Would people, especially the younger audience following you, take this in the wrong way?
But actually, why cannot?
Oh, interesting. If that t-shirt was made by like, it was like a YSL t-shirt.
Right, like a fashion
Would it
designer
be
brand.
okay then?
I still think I would get a call from my boss. In the end, I threw it away. I didn't even like wear it once. So I saw this on a Vietnamese fashion content creator. I thought it was so cool. So I went online to search for the exact same one and I bought it. I was so excited to wear it. But yeah, I didn't in the end. I succumbed to the fact that like maybe people might have an opinion on what I wore.
Wow.
Maybe it's inappropriate for them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And especially for the target market that I represent or I connect the most with.
I think what you wear is a very interesting thing, right? I mean, growing up, we use the term tomboy a lot. Like girls that wear more pants and they don't wear skirts or don't wear dresses. And then people will chastise them and be like, you're a girl, why don't you wear a skirt or a dress? Then after that, we wear a skirt. Then the skirt is too short. Then they're like, why is a skirt so short?
You can't please anyone, so right. Do you?
Kiss, what about you? In terms of your fashion style, like, are you more feminine? Are you more like tomboyish, masculine?
Actually, both depends on where I'm going.
You can go both.
They say get you a girl can do both.
So describe your feminine outfit.
I like to wear dress. Sometimes I like to wear like short dress also. Like it depends on the event. Depend got who.
So you got someone more handsome to dress shorter lah.
She never say.
Not necessarily, but yeah, I like to wear something that's more like colourful. Yeah, actually, it really depends on the way I dress. I get treated differently also.
Oh.
That's an interesting perspective.
How so?
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
How so?
Because if I wear like this, if I go out, men in particular, they won't treat you as nice as when you're like a lady, like, or when you wear
think
dress.
so?
Yeah. And then being in a position where I can dress as both, right? Like I can do both, and then like I see the way I get treated, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Like,
Very different.
Yeah.
Don't you girls agree when we are in, like, let's say an evening gown versus when we're in t-shirt and jeans?
Yeah.
The treatment we get is different.
I think men have a fixation with just dresses, like especially like sundresses.
Sundresses.
In general.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, they just think it's so sexy and like attractive and so feminine, right? Maybe it's some like animal instinct. I don't know, from the caveman times when they used to fashion
Caveman.
like dresses out of leather. I don't know lah.
Oh
Okay,
my goodness.
but I'm just saying, fashion is another big thing that is also a pressure that society puts on women.
Yes.
Yeah. Our PD Nas actually recalled, several instances, especially when she was younger. She was a bit of a crybaby, which I cannot tell now because she is quite a, how do I say it?
She's so strong now.
She's so
a strong mama.
now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Strong, independent mama. Okay.
She says, as a kid, I've been called too much of a crybaby, or gembeng in Javanese.
Gembeng.
Gembeng. Someone who easily cries, easily emotional. And it was used against me so many times. I wanted to join touch rugby in school, but I was told that I can't because I'm a crybaby. You're too emotional and too weak to do something like touch rugby.
But okay lah, touch rugby very painful one if you fall down.
Yeah.
But if you cry, it's okay, what?
Yeah, then cry lah. Then just cry, then like let it pass.
yeah.
And then when she started working, I think it was sort of like a rebellion. She didn't want to be seen as weak. So then she became very strong. And then people said, you're too strong. For someone who is like younger, you're a bit too strong, that you need to tone down.
Opinionated.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And then in her early to mid 20s, I dated a few men. She says she wants everyone to know that she has dated more than one man in her life. She says all those men said to me, I was too chill. They expected women to be like clingy, lovey, but
Want you to sayang,
Yeah,
that
like
kind of
she's
thing.
too chill.
Then they're not the right man for you.
Correct. And then when you're like with crazy women, you tell the whole world she's crazy.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, again, right? You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So you do you, boo. That's the tagline of this episode, please.
No, that's right. I think
yeah.
if they can't accept you for who you are, then just move on. Like,
Yep.
kids, have you ever felt in your life, like, be it someone that you've dated, be it, relative, friend, or whatever, they couldn't accept you for who you were?
That's a bit tough because I feel that I really strongly don't really care, It's just too strong. So it's like, actually in the industry, yes, I was in this label before. I felt like I didn't belong there because every time I come, they always ask me to change the way I look. Every single time. And they keep saying things like, if you don't listen to us, you won't be able to make it. So I was like, okay. And that was like 2020. And they wanted me to cut my hair short, dye my hair white. I'm like, what? And then wear like just half crop top, whatever stuff. And back then I was so young and I wasn't comfortable wearing all that. They wanted me to wear short skirt. All the nonsense stuff that has got nothing to do with music itself,
Okay.
Yeah, and then they say it's a way to promote music and
Like
people
your
will listen.
packaging.
Yeah, and I'm like, you need to look sexy, man, for that. I'm like, I'm sure there are other ways, If your music is good, I don't think the way you dress matters. But from there, I actually left lah. Because it was too pressurizing. Yeah, and I didn't want to do what they asked me to do because it doesn't make sense to me, And my parents will see all that videos and like, no.
That's a very strong point. I think if you look at all the women in the music industry, they're all expected to be a bit more sexual, be a bit more like sexy, show a bit more skin to get views, get listens, get this and that. But like, you look at a guy, okay, Ed Sheeran, I love your music and all, but
Exactly.
like,
You think anyone is gonna ask him to take his shirt
take your
off?
shirt off? No, right?
Actually, I don't mind seeing it.
Okay.
Why you judging me?
Hazel has a kink. And it's red-headed.
It's ginger.
She wants to see if the carpet matches the drapes.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, moving on from Ed Sheeran. That's what I'm saying. Like even in the music industry, right? Especially when you're in the spotlight, they want to dictate who you are
Yep.
instead of just letting you shine and be who you actually are.
But sometimes the labels think that they know better because they got a stronger hold of their target audience and the demographics, and maybe they feel like these statistics can help you turn into a popular singer.
Yeah, but it's not true.
Okay.
Because now I feel that now we have social media. Nowadays, musicians are doing better without labels also. So, and they are doing all this without a label telling them how to dress, what music to do. I think that, and then we got a lot of music courses already. We are learning on our own.
And I think we are totally in this phase where organic content
Yeah.
is king. right? Everybody has the biggest platform that's called
Yep.
social media.
Exactly.
And we can put out whatever we want and it can just take off. The costs are low as well.
Ultimately, I think it's up to you. If you feel that, you are willing to be molded by whoever is trying to mold you, and you're like, okay, I'm willing, just mold me into what you think would make me successful, then go for it, right? We're not saying don't do that.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who is young, who doesn't really have personality, they're just still trying to find their footing. But for someone like Qis, I think since a young age, you had a strong conviction of who you are and who you want it to be. And that's probably why you didn't let anyone change
Yeah,
you.
I think it's most importantly, it doesn't go against your values or things that you really don't want to do. But then you feel like, I have to do it because I want to be successful. But then in the end, if it doesn't work out, you will regret it lah. Yeah.
That's true because it was your own decision in the first place, right?
Yeah, for me, because whatever they did, it turns out it didn't work out, so I'm so happy. I mean, that's the tea, but sometimes you have to, for me, you have to uphold what you believe in strongly. Yeah.
We have quite an interesting viewpoint coming in from Reddit about, the role of women at a workplace.
Okay.
So this person on Reddit, obviously they have a lot of work gatherings, cookouts, lunches together, parties, birthday parties and things like that. And he noticed that every time there's a work gathering, whenever it comes the time to clean up, it's only women cleaning up. None of the men actually stay behind or stay put to clean up all the stuff, throw it away. And one time he actually stayed to help and they were very, very thankful for that because it's like a rare Pokemon, it never happens. I don't know if you guys in your workplace, okay, we all work at the same place, but in our workplace, have you guys encountered that?
I want to tell you guys a very interesting example from my work experience in Mongolia.
Okay.
So I went there to shoot this variety series and the people there, wow, they are very traditional in terms of men do men things, women do women things. So when we were there, we had to build this campfire. And to build out a campfire, because it was so cold at night, right? We actually had to chop wood. We literally go to the forest, cross the river, get wood back, and then put it in the campfire. The man does all the chopping and the carrying of the wood.
Okay.
One time I took up the axe, I tried to chop wood on behalf of the man, just save them some time, right? Team effort.
Yeah.
I had barely done anything. The only thing I did was to pick up the axe and that Mongolian uncle went hey! No, you can't do that. He was basically saying, these are men things. Leave it to the men.
Uncle, she live you got see or not?
But actually really quite heavy.
I guess that's the culture, right?
Yeah, the culture. And when it comes to cooking, I found that really most of the women do the cooking there. The men barely touches the pots and the pans. So
Interesting.
it's very, very interesting. And in contrast to Singapore, I feel the distinction there is so much more stronger.
It's interesting because I also did a camping situation in LA with a co-host called Zane. We were in an RV, right? So interestingly enough, I did most of the driving because I'm a more confident driver.
Okay.
And he's a great cook. So he actually cooked dinner.
That's so
Yeah,
nice.
because I can't cook. I don't think anyone must eat my food. Right? So it was kind of the roles are reversed. I think it really is how you make it out to be. Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's what I always say, right? I don't believe in this, you should do this because you're a man and you should do this because you're a woman. If you don't want to cook, you don't eat. If you don't want to clean, you don't get a clean house. I don't care what your gender is. You know what I mean? It's have you seen those videos where women are trying to test their husbands and they're telling the husbands I want to go out with my friends. Can you babysit the kid? And the good men go what do you mean by babysit? That's my kid. Yeah,
That's the right answer.
Correct.
Why must test?
I think when you talk to females and they're talking about a male, for example, let's say a partner, a boyfriend, a husband, whatever it is, right? They always go, oh, this person helped you with the chores. What if I help? They live in the same house.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's their responsibility. Actually, I'm curious, Qis, what was your growing up journey like? How is it like in your family or household?
Actually, it's quite, I would say quite traditional where my mom will take care of the house and my dad goes out to work. But I don't feel like there's any how to say
Imbalance?
Yeah, I think so far it's the thing that makes me have a bad opinion on gender roles or anything like
I
that.
see.
Yeah.
Does your dad ever comment on your dressing?
Or the fact that you
kind
shave
of-
your eyebrows. If I ever did that, my dad would be like, what? What would he say? Huh? I genuinely don't know. Maybe I
Maybe
should
you ask
try.
him if you fell down.
Yeah, maybe I should try.
Can you?
Hey, you should try. I mean,
Really?
you're older already. So
Yeah,
should be
then
okay.
then I just go see what he says. Social experiment, yeah.
For me, my dad is pretty chill, but my mom is the one who, but my dad is Okay. That kind, like, as long as I don't do bad things outside lah.
Like what?
Anything that breaks the law lah.
anything
As
breaks the
long as
law,
I don't
okay.
get caught by the police. That kind of stuff.
Then
Yeah.
my dad would totally like nag at me for wearing this black
Is
tube
it?
coat. You can come out to YouTube to
Really?
see my dress. Yeah. In his words, he would say like, 妹妹啊，不要穿到这样，不好看。
but
Which
he
means, don't
knows-
wear like that. It's not nice.
But he's seen all your tattoos. He's
Oh,
fine with that.
He's not approving of my tattoos. He was pretty upset about it. And when I got my navel piercing, I don't think he was happy as well. He thinks it's okay to get like a pair of earrings.
Okay.
But not more than that. Because traditionally, in the past, women, we only have like one ear piercing on each ear. But then now I have my helix piercings. I used to have like other piercings as well. And he was not the happiest.
But I feel that as we grow older, we can make our own decision, right?
Do your parents ever tell you like, oh, you should do this and this because you're a girl? Or you should behave like this because you're a girl?
Lucky for me, they never did that. Because growing up, I used to play football a lot. And the only thing is that my mom will always say, make sure you don't get hurt. Like when I play soccer, because I actually broke my arm before.
Oh, man.
So every time before travel, she would tell me, don't play soccer. Like few days before I travel, it's like, you better don't play, you're gonna get hurt. So
Right.
I think it's just a concern lah. But
Wait, so you
they
play
never
soccer
stop.
when you're overseas?
Before I go overseas, like in Singapore. So she don't want me to get injured.
Okay.
Yeah, and then later injured cannot go overseas.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I see why Qis is like that. Because I feel like growing up, she probably had quite a supportive environment.
Yes.
Like no one really told you like you can't do this, why you like this, why you like this.
Yeah.
They kind of just let you be.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people listening did not have that opportunity. Maybe your parents were a bit more strong with you and they dictated what you should wear, shouldn't wear, and you could be also very vulnerable to that, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I think, is reframing how we view these comments, right? Like if someone says to you, oh, I think girls shouldn't have tattoos, right? I've heard that so much.
so
right?
much.
One way you can reframe that is by thinking, oh, maybe that person, like when they were young, maybe it's a female, maybe she wanted to get tattoos and her
was told
parents,
no.
she was told no, and she was instilled and she has that kind of like projection back onto you saying like, why you can have tattoos but I cannot kind of thing. So a lot of it is reframing. What do they really mean? And is it really directed at you or is it more of a problem with themselves?
Yeah, I think shifting your mindset helps. And I know that a lot of these gendered expectations are still being perpetuated today, but I see the change in the younger generation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? A lot of women, we are standing up for ourselves. We are doing what we love and we are trying to like ignore what other people think of us. And I think that's great.
The other day, I saw a comment on 987's TikTok, right? And I was doing a street interview and I was wearing a cute little grey skirt. And I saw a comment that said, skirt so short for what? Right?
Must be those like user 4812359.
Exactly. I was getting ready for the day. I was brushing my teeth, washing my face, doing my skincare. During that whole 30 minutes, I kept thinking to myself what I should reply to that person. I went through so many replies. I was like, maybe I should just say, your problem, meh? Maybe I should say, you my father, meh? Maybe I should say, what should I say? And then in the end, I decided, don't reply lah.
Yeah.
I think the best reply sometimes is not replying.
It's to not reply.
But it's good to reply in your head first. Then you
Correct.
get the feelings out. Then you don't
Yes,
really
correct.
have to reply.
Because sometimes these people might actually come up to you at events that you're
correct.
hosting and say the same thing. And then like, what's going to happen? Because you'll be taken aback for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
But the thing is, I think half the time, like these people, they always think that they're very safe behind a screen. And like if they were in front of you, they would never say it to your face, you know?
That's true as well.
And I think a lot of people, they forget that the person on the other side of the screen is like human with feelings.
No, exactly.
And we're running wild with the things that we should say, right? Yeah.
Sometimes when people say inappropriate things to me in real life, I do point it out. Like, especially like listeners, like sometimes they go overboard or they think like, you're their friend and they say things that are generally
Like,
quite
what do they
mean.
say?
I can't remember this, but I did block a guy for saying that. And then he came up to me in real life and he was like, why did you block me? And then I said, no, I was quite, upset with what you told me the other time. So I
you
pointed it
remember
out.
the guy and
I
his
remember the
comment.
guy, yeah.
Okay.
He's like, why do you block me? Sorry. Anyways, I've unblocked him because he apologized for that. So it's okay to point it out. Don't be afraid to do so. Don't be afraid to prove the stereotypes wrong.
We hope that this episode has been enriching and empowering in one way or another. Before we wrap up the episode, Qis, any last words?
Just do you.
You do you.
Yeah, don't care about what people say. For
Correct.
real. Yeah, it's your life. You only got one chance in life. So if you care about them, you're not going to be able to live your best life.
Oh, I like
love that.
My final note is at the end of the day, you're gonna have to live with yourself. So like, just make sure you're happy because you can't please everybody. Like, you really can't.
Yeah, make sure you like yourself.
Correct. Live up to your own expectations, not the expectations of other people. It's
true.
If you like this episode, follow us on Instagram at itsclarity.co.
That's right. You can listen to us on Me Listen, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Turn on your notifications.
We're on YouTube as well. And thank you to Qis for joining us. Have a great time in Spain.
Thank
Enjoy your trip. Bye.
See you guys next time.
Like, just because someone says, you're a crybaby, Nas, you can't join touch rugby. Join touch rugby! With 2 kids in tow, I tell you. You'll prove
them wrong.
everyone wrong.
And I'm also a part-time DJ at Ria 897.
Represent.
Whoop, whoop.